I don't need to appraise your property. I don't need to see that your collateral is good. And when if we use a multi-signature with 3 keys, it's like I also don't need to stick your valuable violin in my closet in case you run off, so I keep that as your collateral. You don't need the pawn shop model. I have a key. I have a key. You have a key. A third party escrow attorney has a key. And if we disagree, that person legally knows when to sign. And because I don't want to go to prison and you don't want to go to prison, we're all going to be good actors.
I don't know how much you've looked into CJ Constantinos and the People's Reserve and some of the things they're doing there.
I love CJ.
Self-repaying mortgage. I would love for your thoughts on this, and just because what you just said just made me think of him, but also, man, there's going to be disruption. I mean, to so many industries because of Bitcoin, AI, robotics, like all this stuff, 3D printing or whatever. But how is lending going to be disrupted? Are you going to have to innovate, and existing lending companies are going to have to become this eventually? You've got, Rocket Mortgage, right downtown, right, close to me here, where this massive behemoths that are they going to have to innovate and become this in a way, or a lot of them going to go out of existence? Like what's going to happen here to the lending world?
Yeah, I think it's going to go in steps. And I think the first level will be interacting with Bitcoiners who have this as collateral. So already, mortgage companies and mortgage lenders they legally have to accept someone who has Bitcoin as assets. It wasn't that way just a couple of years ago. Like people would say, I can't include that. Yeah. I can't look at that as your balance sheet to figure out your debt to income ratios. And now, so one, they have to accept Bitcoin. Same reason why the IRS, one of the first questions they ask on your taxes is, do you own cryptocurrency? Like it's a big deal now. 2, they're going to have to accept it as down payments, and whether they want to hold the Bitcoin or not, they will have to figure out the conversion rates. Right now, escrow doesn't like that because the market price is volatile enough that they don't know. Are you putting 20% down? Oh, today it's 18%. Oh, wait, no, now it's 25%. But I think eventually these things can be priced in Bitcoin terms. It's sort of a mind fuck, but it's like, does this house cost, 10 million or does it cost 100 Bitcoin? What's the price? And so are the buyer and seller willing to price it in Bitcoin? Because if you're willing to price it in Bitcoin, there's no reason why the escrow and the mortgage lending and all those can't just 100% do everything in Bitcoin, and it's super fast and it's frictionless. The problem is the exchange. The exchange still just fluctuates so much for these people. But yeah, they have to adapt. And I'll tell you, so because I have to do CEs every year to keep 2 of my real estate licenses, my national mortgage licensing and my broker's license, in the CEs itself, there's Bitcoin chapters now. And I'm not selecting that. This is just what they're educating us, telling us what Bitcoin is, how to deal with someone who has Bitcoin as a down payment, who has Bitcoin in their assets. So it's starting at a low level of just assets, and they're viewing it sort of like as a stock. But I think that's going to increase more. And that's why, like with what CJ Constantino's is doing with his People's Reserve, is that he's going to have, actual Bitcoin mortgages. And it's also something that we're coming out with at the Bitcoin Advisor, where I'm an advisor at. We're coming up with several Bitcoin lending products that are Bitcoin only, paid in Bitcoin, collateralized with Bitcoin, no counterparty risk, complete proof of reserves, all of that. So those aren't ready yet. But anyway, so yeah, it's something that excites me a lot, not only for all of the patience and gratification delay and hard work that Bitcoiners are doing, who often are saving up for a home. If you ask most Bitcoiners what they're saving up for, a lot of them want a home. Sometimes it's their first home. This will allow them to do that without either getting rid of all of their Bitcoin, which they don't want to do because it's going to grow so much, or getting rid of less of it. And eventually the interest rates are going to be lower than the fiat rates. Right now, they're slightly higher, but the reason they're going to be lower is because the collateral's better. So all of the fiat investors who don't care about Bitcoin, but they're the ones that want to invest, they're the ones that give the liquidity for the mortgage in the first place. Why would they not just accept a lower rate knowing that there's zero risk? With Bitcoin, there's zero risk. You have the Bitcoin. the reason fiat investors will want like currently 7 or 8% for a jumbo home mortgage, a jumbo high balance mortgage, is because they know that there's a foreclosure. Right now, the foreclosure rate I think is about 4%. So 4% of the time they're losing their money. You can't do that in Bitcoin. Just take the collateral. In fact, if I become, let's say I was a Bitcoin mortgage lender myself, I would be happy for someone to foreclose because I'll just take your Bitcoin. I'd rather have the Bitcoin than the 4 or 5% interest because I know how fast Bitcoin's going up. So yeah, I think it's going to change everything. And so many real estate developers and investors, even the ones who don't fully understand Bitcoin, like a Grant Cardone, are starting to see the benefits because it's just math with a spreadsheet. Hey, while I go into this development, why don't I raise the budget by 20% and put 20% into Bitcoin? And this will now offset the risk of the rest of the real estate portfolio. With whatever happens here to 80%, I'm secured by this 20%. To the point where over a 4 or 5 year period, the rest of this can almost wipe out and this 20% will cover it. And so now people are doing it like with movie budgets. They're doing it with companies. I mean, you see now what GameStop is doing. It's like it works for anybody, putting just a percentage of your portfolio into Bitcoin to offset the fiat risk, anywhere else. All stuff you know so well.
Incredible stuff. What are you working on right now? What are you working on? More books? Obviously, you and Don Bay have done some great work with Santa Monica, just the local municipality there. You obviously have your fingers and hands in the real estate jar still. What are you working on right now that you're super excited about?
A few areas. One, because I still have one foot in Hollywood. I still love movies and TV shows. I'm looking for content and ways to make the next big Bitcoin movie or Bitcoin TV show. And I don't mean documentaries. We have plenty of those, but in the spirit of Mr. Robot or The Social Network or even The Matrix, things that are somewhat adjacent that people outside of Bitcoin can enjoy, but Bitcoiners will appreciate, and things that help speak to our monetary system and educate. But that just needs to be done in a smart sort of educational way. So there's novels, there's screenplays, some that I'm working on, collaborating on, some that I'm just looking forward to as people are creating and building for me. That's one thing I'm doing. Two, I'm at the Bitcoin Advisor, where we help high net worth individuals and we help corporations get into multi-signature setups so that their inheritance is solved, so that payroll is solved, so that they can operate on a Bitcoin standard, but never, ever have to worry about losing a key, never have to worry about a bad actor, never have to deal with any, exchange and lose their Bitcoin. I also just love educating, so I'm personally I try to make these videos every other week and put up to educate the normies, which are a lot of fun. And it's also why I'm doing X Spaces all of the time, because there's so many new people that come in, and sometimes it feels like we're saying the same things over and over, but there's always someone that comes up and asks a question, and you're like, wow, that really is how normies think, because that is how I thought, and we forget where we were when we first came into the space. So I really, really just want to educate. So on one hand, I'm sort of in a holding pattern in that, I'm waiting for something or I'm waiting for an opportunity. But that's the great thing that Bitcoin has given me. It's like I can say no to things. I've been offered positions and jobs at lots of the big Bitcoin companies that we know, and I have respectfully turned them all down, just because it's like, not only because I don't need to because of Bitcoin, but because right now I feel like I can be better served taking the time and thinking what can be done and doing something creative. So I don't know. I mean, I honestly, I get to enjoy my days and have conversations like this because Bitcoin has allowed me to do that. I was lucky enough or reckless enough to, move all my real estate into Bitcoin and do it early enough that, I get to just do what I want. I get to say no. I get to have, sovereignty over my time.
And I think that's the beauty of all this too. Like, you just nailed the whole thing here. And this is what we've been talking about, is moving all of your real estate into the apex money, the apex asset. And that takes a lot of humility, takes education. It takes a lot of things, guts, courage, like you said, but everyone has that chance. And I think that that's the perfect summation of everything we've talked about in decreasing the wealth gap, or at least bringing everyone, helping the unbanked, giving everyone a way to save their time and energy and not be stolen from through inflation, taxation, or direct indirect taxation, is that right there. So I love that you were kind of,
and I couldn't do it and I couldn't do it with real estate, because even if all of that was still sitting in real estate, and even if it was doing just as well as Bitcoin, where's the liquidity?
Right. Can't move it country to country. Yeah.
Bitcoin, I have all of that wealth and instantly, anywhere, move it around, spend it. I mean, everything that you know.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. I just can't believe that we're alive at this time and that this exists. It's like, wow. It's unbelievable to me. I wake up every day and I pinch myself. You're supposed to be able to sleep better with Bitcoin. You're supposed to be able to relax. I get less sleep, Brandon, because my brain, I'm just so excited. I'm like up at 5 a.m. going, Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin.
So true.
If you like that clip, then you definitely got to check out this next spicy clip. I think you're really going to like it. Come on, check it out. But if you want the full version, the full interview, then check that out over here. Come on, do it. I'll see you in there.